All right, I'm getting close to my departure from St. Mary's, from my friend's house, who I've stayed for a couple of days. Let me crash out here in this utility room. Here's my backpack. And as you can see, I got an aluminum frame backpack, which I believe is a lot better than those internal frames that most people use that are so popular, and you see them with mountain climbers and stuff. But you'll see when I roll up my big sleeping bag, which is necessary for my survival this time of year, that there has to be a place besides just down inside of a bag somewhere, like in one of those big internal frame bags. There has to be an aluminum frame at the bottom in order to tie this bag to my big sleeping bag. You'll see what I'm talking about. This is a 15 or more pound sleeping bag, which makes it possible for me to survive the long, hard winter nights, as long as I can stay dry, of course. That's another issue, staying dry. But anyways, I'm rolling up, I'm packing up, and I'm going to be hitting the road here pretty soon. And I'm just going to be kind of camping out along the way, kind of taking my time. I'm not in a rush. But here is the process of my return to the road. It's finally time for me to really leave this town. So I have this big sleeping bag here, as you can see. It's not in the best of shape. And then I have this blanket that I roll up in it. And I'm going to lay it out like so. I don't have a tripod. So you see how I got it laid out? That's a pretty big blanket. And that's what I shove down inside of my sleeping bag at night, inside when I'm camping out. Fold them in. It's got to be nice and neat. You want it to be able to roll up as tight and even as possible. See that? As you can see, I got an emergency pair of socks for at night, so if it gets really down into the sub-zero temperatures, I can put those on my feet, and that'll help assist in keeping me a little warmer down there at the bottom, because the bottom of the sleeping bags are always, you know, there's not a lot of body heat. Your feet, I mean, doesn't really produce a ton of body heat, and then there's that extra space and stuff, so it's always a struggle to keep the bottom part of your sleeping bag warm like the rest of your body, which produces more heat and takes up more space in the bag. So these will help. I just put them in there. Then I put in another blanket. This one. It's almost like a furniture pad. What I did too, see that? Got a hole in it, because I can do that, and then I can tie a rope around it. Sort of like what in First Blood Part 1, where he found that piece of material when he was cold and he needed to retain his body heat, so he just kind of tore it open and cut a hole. That's where I kind of got the idea. It does work. I've used this technique before in the winter. And I put duct tape around the part where I had to make a cut in hopes that it won't tear, but if it tears, it tears. It should be okay for the winter if I'm careful with it. I placed this one just like I did the other one. Nice and neat, fold it in, get it prepared to roll up. Nice and even. Okay. And I have another bag. No, I mean bag. Another blanket. It's kind of a thin. I usually use this one up around my head. that one in nice and neat. Then, that's done, that's all the blankets, plus a couple pairs of socks, especially the ones that are more thick. This here is, if it just gets really cold, I put it right here, and when it's rolled up, I can just grab it, you know what I mean, pull it through. And then I have another one. Of course, these can double as pillows too, for my comfort. This here is very light. As you can see, it's just like just an extra little layer. Because rather than having a really heavy duty, jacket, you just have a few thin layers. This is almost feather light. The sleeping bag, all in all, is probably between 15, 16 pounds or so. It's kind of hard to say exactly what it is. Wouldn't surprise me if it was close to 20. And it's big when it's rolled up. So you got those internal frames, like this is an example. Sort of like one of these type of deals, but bigger. How am I going to shove this giant this giant bedroll with multi-components to it, heavy space, inside of an internal frame backpack? I don't get how people do it. I mean, there's probably really expensive technology, like a $400 sleeping bag or something, that could probably be really light and small, and you could, use an internal frame backpack. But I don't have that kind of money, so I have to slap together a really effective sleeping bag. It's just going to be big, it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be way too big for one of those internal frame backpacks, which are more popular. I'd rather have an external aluminum frame backpack any day of the week over one of them things. Anyways, I'm going to roll this sucker up, and all this stuff is in it. And I first tie one here, just to keep everything nice and tight. And there's 2 ropes on my backpack that I use to attach it to my backpack. These ropes I just use to keep it more uniform. The ropes that are on my backpack, on the aluminum frame, I use to attach this big thing to my backpack. All right, there it is. So that's my bedroll, and here's where I was sleeping for the last 2 nights. I love the fans, and he didn't care if I used it. And there's the backyard. There was the garage I spent a couple of nights in. But now I'm gonna hit the road. I had a good breakfast. I've been procrastinating, I've been recovering, I've been working my mind around killing as much time to get as deep as possible into winter, where, at least I don't have the entire winter to go through. I mean, it was cold in November, and here we are almost out of December. So I've got basically maybe 2.5 months of on and off. It's not going to be consistently horrible all the time. There's lovely winter days that are in the 40s and sun and no wind, and snow kind of melts off, and it thaws and stuff a bit, and it's not going to be wall-to-wall Arctic weather and so forth. It's going to be nice. It's going to be whatever it is that I need, I guess. Nothing happens to me or you. Things happen for you. This is my unique path. This is custom designed for me. I truly believe it, and I embrace that. I embrace the undoing of thinking that I'm real and I really matter so much. Once you start doing that, you find gratitude and humility for the small things that are so easy to overlook. That humbleness can lead to a higher plateau of enlightenment. You realize that we're all just part of an eternal energy, a field of energy that's manifesting and always in a process of manifesting. It's always been here. It's always going to be here. But this up here that says, this is me, and that ain't me, this is what I like, and this is what I don't like, that's just chemicals in the mind. That's all it is. And it's going to go away when you die. This stuff is not permanent. And if it's not permanent, it's not truly real. It's only something that's manifesting. And it's not happening to you, it's happening for you on an eternal transmigration of this amazing, miraculous, beautiful field of energy that we're all part of. And that's all it is. With that said, Noah Road over and out for now.